Salve. Allora, come ho detto, oggi ho impegni. Quindi, allora, ho fatto, a dire la verità, ovviamente ho dovuto andare a fare le ultime commissioni, prima di andare a fare la, la missione, diciamo. Insomma, ho fatto le preparazioni, la base è quella lì. Ehm, Ho fatto una cosa che ho disattivato tempo fa, vedere se gira anche meglio i giochi, eccetera. La verità è che era successo tempo fa che non so perché. Io penso che, spero che, non fun- che funzioni adesso, però non lo so, dico la verità, non lo so. Ehm, Praticamente ho dovuto disattivare i driver dal mio computer perché l'aggiornamento dei driver perché è successo che ogni volta che aggiornavo Windows mi toglieva l'applicazione della AMD, allora io dovevo installare una versione vecchia e poi aggiornarla a quella nuova, ci impiegavo qualcosa come all'inizio ci ho impiegato un'ora, poi pian piano ho fatto l'abitudine, ci impiegavo mezz'ora, però ogni volta che aggiornavo era così. Allora mi sono rotto le scatole, ho detto, uè, io, va anche bene così, però, cioè, allora li ho disattivati i driver. Adesso è tutto aggiornato, vediamo, magari valga di meno i giochi. Io prego, allora io ho fatto adesso l'aggiornamento dei driver e sembra che la cosa della MD c'è ancora. Io prego che se ci sia un altro aggiornamento che c'era con i driver della grafica, non devo fare come ho fatto l'altro volta. Adesso vediamo. Comunque. Ah, stiamo veramente registrando. È tutto smooth, operator, non ci credo. Lo so vedere qua un attimo. Perché io guardavo su internet, dicevano tutti, ma 48 fps in ultra, e io ero tipo, ma che cacchio, io non vedo niente di tutto questo. Come mai? Adesso che tiene 29. Siamo su 29/30. Allora ho capito, che non ho installato più i driver. Questo. Beh. Allora posso anche mettermi qua cose un po' più alte, dici. Ho messo 60. Tiene 30 fissi adesso. Bello. Princesse! Mamma mia che bello. Finalmente non avere i mega lagoni. Che bello. Vabbè. Abbiamo il V-Sync adesso, dovrebbe funzionare perché ho aggiornato il display. Allora, devo rielaborare un attimo le idee. Nel senso che qua possiamo fare due cose. Nel senso che possiamo andare avanti con l'avventura e, e poi il resto me lo faccio. Penso che farò così. Il fatto è che mi piacerebbe provare il boss, forse, I guess. E che bello avere tutto smooth, ci sta, il problema è quello, mi disattiva sempre l'applicazione, allora mi ho rotto le scatole. Disattivata no, la cancellava proprio, era una roba di scherzo. Allora dov'è Layla un attimo, devo vedere. Layla. Bravo, sarò passato 3000 volte. Robe leggendarie. Perfetto. Quindi qua la cosa è semplice, o mi metto a fare i boss, o quello della ricompensa spedizione. Ci sta però comunque. Sono contento. Busing dovrebbe aiutare anche perché c'ha bloccato i 60 fps, però magari adesso è più di... Insomma la cosa degli bots app dice che ne sono 30, ma vedo poco. Comunque. Anyway. Finalmente. Andiamo a fare missioni della storia adesso, nel senso che il resto me lo faccio quando sono lì tranquillo. Quanto ci sta. Bello. Allora, vediamo un attimo. Poi devo ancora modificarmi le cose del display, eccetera, eccetera. Ma quella è un'altra storia. Ora completato. Vogliamo cominciare a fare quello di Naida? O facciamo quello di Deia? Facciamo quello di Deia. Andiamo a vedere. Capitolo della Manticola. Ok. Capitolo della Manticola. E un giorno come gli altri, tu e Paimon fate un giro a gamba. E poi... Boh. Alla fine ci sta. Computer che buffa più di solito, ma non penso che sia così tanto grave. Comunque, sentiamo, vediamo lei. Finalmente...
Oh, what a mouth-watering smell. Paimon would know the aroma of biryani anywhere. Let's go get some.
Bene. Non è nella nostra lista.
We can still add it to the list.
Well, if it isn't the Traveler and Paimon. Wasn't
Hello.
expecting to see you here.
Ciao Deia. Sei ancora con...
Hello there. Oh, it's been quite a while.
So you two are still hanging out together. Dia, didn't you say last time that you were gonna head back to the desert?
Quello che pensa. Volevo solo vedere qual è la temperatura per curiosità. Vedi, me l'abbiamo fatto. Me l'abbiamo fatto. Però almeno non so, il gioco non lagga più, non so più cosa fare.
I said I was going to resign from being her bodyguard, not that our friendship was over. We're still the best of friends. The Homayanis also still post jobs from time to time. Their pay is always generous, so me and the other mercs never pass them up.
I told Dia to just stay at our place when she took one of those jobs a few days ago. My parents were delighted. They even said that it always felt like we were missing someone whenever Dia wasn't around.
Non ho un modo per vedere quanta temperatura fa il mio adesso computer, ma che sia
That sounds
esagerato.
like something they would say, all right.
Cioè non fa...
So welcoming.
Solo un pochettino più rumore.
Anyway,
Però non so.
the job is already taken care of, so I was gonna head back to the brigade as soon as I finished a little shopping. But the master kept insisting, and I ended up staying for another day.
Spero che non si sente solo il rumore che fa. No, anzi.
You can stay for as many days as you want, Dia. Father hasn't even gotten around to treating you to his best dishes yet.
You know I'm not the kind of person to stay put in one place like that, my lady. Don't worry, though. There'll always be next time.
Dire è il mio personaggio proprio preferito. Forse mi piace ancora di più di Amber, cioè è simpaticissimo.
She said they'll treat you to the best dishes. Paimon can't believe you can still refuse that.
But wait. Didn't you say last time that you would take me on a trip to the desert? Why don't you just take me with you today when you leave? There are so many places I still haven't visited yet.
I'm sorry, my lady, but no can do. There's still a few things I need to take care of back at the brigade. Besides, the desert hasn't exactly been the most peaceful place lately.
Oh, come on. Not this again. That's also what you said last time and the time before that.
I know, I'm sorry. Just give me some more time, and I promise I'll plan the best trip ever for you.
All right, fine. To be perfectly honest, it's not that I wanted to go, it's more like I feel like something is off about you lately. Ever since you first set foot on the estate a few days ago, you've been acting anxious and even paranoid.
What is
Have
happening?
you been delaying our trip because you've run into some kind of trouble?
Chissà.
Nah, are you kidding? You're worrying too much.
Ah, ok. Anyway.
Did you swear on that? Friends shouldn't lie to each other, you know. I wouldn't pry any further if you're willing to swear on what you just said.
Uh-huh.
But if something really is bothering you, then just tell me. You know I'll help you however I can.
Rude.
Oh, looks like Junior's was onto something.
You're too perceptive, my lady. Seems I can't hide anything from you. I just thought that nothing good could come out of telling you about the messy happenings of mercenaries. Knowing too much only leads to more trouble.
Quindi?
Mercenary life is a dog-eat-dog world where Mora reigns supreme. Everything operates on a completely different set of rules.
Sì, non ho ancora capito perché ogni volta che aggiorni il coso della AMD, cioè aggiorni tramite Windows, quello della AMD si rompe. Infatti è per quello che vorrei poi provare a passare in video. Cioè nel senso che la AMD costa di meno, però non mi...
That doesn't change anything about what I just said, though. We're still friends, and I can only support you if I understand what's bothering you.
My lady, you're not gonna stop until you drag it out of me, are ya? All right, I'll share what I know. Let's go somewhere else first. This isn't exactly the best place for a discussion.
Rivedo, nel senso che
Okay,
adesso...
let's talk here. Just try not to draw any extra attention. As you may already know, the Eremites have both a lot of mercenaries and a complex organizational structure. Many mercs are no different than me, just going around looking for jobs to earn some mora.
Poi ci
My
sono gli
brigade
altri.
is called the Blazing Beasts. We're not a large group, but every member is loyal and brave.
Ah,
However, not all Eremite brigades are like mine. Some are willing to cross all kinds of lines for the sake of mora. The most notorious is a faction known as Deshret's Relics.
di nuovo questa roba di King Dash.
Deshret's relics? Judging from the name, they must really look up to...
King Dash?
Yep, you got it. I've heard that you've already crossed paths with Ain al-Akmar. They're one of the groups under the Relic's banner.
Oh, you mean the group that tried to sell us the Divine Knowledge Capsule? Yeah, they weren't friendly at all.
Deshret's Relics is composed of many smaller brigades like Ain al-Akmar. The Relic's headquarters issues orders to all brigades under his control. On any other day, I would want nothing to do with them. Unfortunately, though, the brigade that's stirring up trouble now is none other than Dakan al-Akmar.
Ah,
Dakan?
ma lo conosciamo.
I think it
No.
means beard or something. Believe me, it's a really stupid name. I found it insufferable for years.
Ho già sentito questo nome.
Anyway, the real issue is that Dakan al-Akmar is led by my father, Kusela.
Ah, il tuo... È vivo ancora tuo padre? Beh, è abbastanza giovane.
Say what now?
I think I'm starting to understand your anxiety now. But what did they do?
I won't go into details, my lady, but they've been involved in a lot of violent incidents. We're talking hundreds.
Hundreds?
Penso un po'
The
evoluto.
scenes tend to be quite gruesome, too. They strip the victims of all their valuables before murdering them.
Mizzi.
Not only have they targeted merchant caravans and ordinary citizens, but other mercenary brigades as well.
Ah, così a caso.
That's beyond terrible. They won't even spare their own kind.
I don't know how Deshret's relic sees it. All I do know is that Dakan al-Akmar has become more and more aggressive over the last few years. If I don't do something about them, then even my brigade or the people of Aru village could become their next target.
Mi sembrava che comunque la prossima missione riguardava
I just wish
con
I knew
lei,
what's driven him to
deserto,
do
eccetera.
this.
Yeah. How can your father do such terrible things?
I don't know. People change. He's always been pretty pathetic. But at least in the past, there were still a few lines that he wouldn't cross.
That's setting the bar pretty low.
I mean, if he was even remotely decent, then why would I have to leave the brigade and cut all ties with him?
Beh, in
He was
effetti.
loud and foolish, with no real sense of purpose. Instead of doing anything useful, he spent most of his time drinking and chasing after women. Of course, the other brigade members were just like him. Their ruckus would go on night after night.
Sounds like a nightmare.
What about your mother? Did she ever step in to stop them?
Unfortunately, I never knew my mother.
Oh,
I'm sorry, Dia. I didn't know.
questo è brutto.
It's all right, my lady. That's pretty common in mercenary circles. Didn't I mention that my father was chasing after women? I was the result of one of those encounters with some random person.
Ah,
He told me that he wasn't sure who my mother was. And in any case, she never came to see me. He'd say, "You'll be fine as long as you remember to stick with Dad." But even then, he left most of the parenting to the brigade. The one thing I do remember is that he used to tell me stories. But the problem was that he had terrible taste. He only knew a few stories, and even those tended to be pretty stale. They were tales of desert warriors defeating dragons in the forest, or stories of mercenaries rescuing princesses from rebel armies.
Sounds like your typical fairy tales.
More or less, yeah. They were interesting maybe the first or second time around, but after about 20 repeats, they started to get a little dull. He seemed to think those stories were the best things ever, though. He was so into them that he'd call the whole brigade over and make them perform the whole thing as a play. Even the toys he gave me would all be story props. I'd get helmets, shields, and toy swords. It was only much later when I realized that the shows were more for him than they ever were for me.
What an interesting guy.
Ma non penso che le sue intenzioni fossero cattive.
Yeah, I've always found him pretty childish, but that was something I could just shrug off. I had no reason to despise him. Until I grew up and learned the true face of Deshret's relics for myself. Looting, blackmail, violence, and fraud. They not only accepted such heinous acts, they would even openly boast about them.
Ok.
No one in the brigade was any kind of hero. Instead, my father and his cronies were more like the bad guys that needed to be taken down. Did they really think that as long as they didn't do any of that stuff right in front of me, I would never know?
I think I can understand your feelings. The difference between perception and reality must have hit hard.
Yeah, but don't worry, my lady. It's all water under the bridge to me now. I had a huge argument with my father and left that place behind for good.
Ok.
I'm not investigating them due to any bitter feelings I still have towards my father. I just want to protect those that are close to me.
Vuoi solo scoprire perché improvvisamente hanno cominciato a cose ancora.
Yeah, I told the boys to gather as much information as they could. Most of the reports concern violent incidents, but there's also some talk of smuggling.
I see. But isn't this investigation incredibly dangerous?
It is, but every mercenary lives life on the edge. It's a lifestyle that I enjoy.
That may be true, but it'll be impossible for those who care about you not to worry.
Well, now you get why I didn't want to share any of this with you.
What should we do? They both have valid concerns.
Tornerò nel deserto con lei.
Huh? But there's no need for you to get caught up in this mess too.
Abbiamo salvato il mondo ancora una volta, però siamo aiutati.
Well, he's super tough, so if he went into the desert with you, then Paimon bets the problem will be solved in no time.
I'm inclined to agree. I'd feel a lot more at ease if you took him along to help.
Puntare su di me.
I'll wait for news from you in the city until then. Please, stay safe.
I'm honored that you care so much for me, my lady.
Male.
All right, then let's get moving. Our first stop will be Caravan Rebot, where we can catch up a bit with my fellow mercs.
Ok. Sangue di leone. Capito, inizia.
Please be careful. I'll stay in the city and wait for news from you.
Sì.
Just don't do anything reckless, all right?
Va bene. Grazie Daniel per tutto. Senza di lei non avremmo mai scoperto i Naida. Però appunto era brutto quando stavo male. Penso che la temperatura sia così alta della GPU, anche perché una volta quando avevo il computer avevo... Non mi ricordo che cacchio di gioco era, avevo sto gioco, ho messo tutto quasi in ultra. C'era un rumore sto computer, adesso è abbastanza normale.
Hey, Dia, you're back. Are these two friends of yours?
Piacere.
Likewise. There's no need to be so formal with us. We're a pretty casual crew. Anyway, since we've got newcomers, let me fill you in on what Dakan al-Ahmar
I like waffles. I mean, I like it too. Magari qualcuno che guarda lo stream, però a mezz'ora vado a mangiare.
They've become extremely aggressive. Apparently, even their own now have become acceptable targets. They even attack other relics brigades, just the same as any other mercenary brigade.
Even the most ferocious beasts still protect their own. It sounds like they've thrown that straight to the wind.
That's right. Once they've collected enough loot off the other mercenaries, they sell it off to a different brigade, or turn to merchants on the black market. A portion of their profits is immediately exchanged for more food and weaponry to be used in their next violent operation.
Ah, sono proprio delle macchine da guerra, allora.
That's terrible!
La miseria.
Yeah, and it really makes you wonder why they're so desperate for Mora.
E in effetti è quello che stavo pensando anche.
A few days ago, Isham and I trailed them for a while, and even disguised ourselves as merchants to conduct trade with them. We were able to learn a few things from the exchange. Rather than saying they're out to plunder and hoard Mora, it'd probably be more accurate to say that they're experiencing an internal power struggle.
Ah.
Wait, a power struggle?
You heard me right. The vast majority of their victims are mercenaries from the other brigades of Deshret's relics. If their only goal is Mora, they could have gone after anybody. The targeted nature of their attacks points to a power struggle between the different brigades within the relics. That's the only plausible explanation we have. Unfortunately, we weren't able to find out anything more specific. It seems they're also trying to keep things under wraps. Oh, one last thing we discovered was that over the past few years, as Dakan al-Ahmar became more and more active, Deshret's relics as a whole became a lot weaker.
Ha indebolito le reliquie. Siamo in grado di cosa? Sono in grado di cosa? In grado di causare tutti questi danni.
It sounds mighty strange to me too. Harun, you can leave the rest of the investigation to us. Gotta say though, I didn't expect you to go on a whole undercover mission during the few days I was gone. Sounds like you were really putting your necks on the line, no?
Nah, it was nothing. We're just as concerned about the situation as you are. The Khan al-Ahmar is your father's crew after all.
What he said. Besides, Dia, haven't you done more dangerous things than all of us combined? What we did is nothing compared to your experiences.
Ishab.
Yeah.
And while they went to talk with Dakan al-Akmar, I took a look at the last camp they attacked. Any survivors of the attack were already long gone. There was nothing of value left in the camp.
Ah, Hisham and Khalaf. You're here too.
Ah,
We
pensavo che
rushed over as soon as we
erano...
saw you come into Caravan Rebat. Although this new friend of yours looks a little green behind the ears, I'm sensing a special vibe from him. Now that we know you'll have a capable partner with you, we can also rest easy.
Hey, what about Paimon? Feel anything special?
Aiuto, aiutami.
You're also planning to tag along with them?
Of course! Paimon is the traveler's most important guide. Wherever he goes, Paimon will follow.
Sì.
Oh, in that case, then you'd better take care of her too, Dia.
Don't underestimate Paimon!
Don't worry about her. She may look tiny and helpless, but she's been through just as many battles as the traveler here. Even if she had only survived on sheer luck, then that alone would still make her quite formidable.
I had no idea. I guess I shouldn't judge by appearances.
One other thing,
Simpatici.
Dia. When you're free, why don't you update the deputy about your upcoming schedule? We held another recruitment event a few days ago, but everyone only came to see the Flame Main. You weren't around at the time, so people were pretty disappointed to only find our crew of rough, unkempt guys.
Ah,
The deputy put a lot of effort into the event, but it was basically for nothing. Only a few people chose to stay, and that really got to him.
Sorry to hear that. I'll be sure to bring him some great liquor next time. I left in a hurry and I couldn't make it back in time for the event.
Gotta admit, I can understand their disappointment, though. You're our brigade's main selling point, after all. Now, if only the deputy could figure out a way to bring a few more smoking hot members into our ranks.
Keep dreaming. Remember the last time I invited a couple gals into the brigade? You all just froze up with your mouths gaping like a bunch of scarecrows. The awkward silence and weird expressions left quite the impression on them. They were originally interested in joining us, but after that, they both told me they were too uncomfortable to stick around.
Hey, didn't we agree to never bring that up again?
Huh? Wait, are you serious? Why have I never heard about this?
I don't think you were part of the brigade yet.
Are you kidding me? I missed a once-in-a-lifetime moment like that and you weren't even gonna tell me?
All right. We can tell you about it later. Now's not the time.
Hey, don't you try to change the subject. You and Hisham get your butts over here and tell me everything right now.
che sceme.
Always like this?
More or less. There aren't many rules or graces when it comes to mercenaries. We're used to just speaking our minds. If someone starts getting under your skin, you just yell right back at them. And if that doesn't put an end to it, then you just challenge them to a fight.
Il tavolo che è rimasto
But
male.
we also don't tend to take many things too seriously. Being direct and getting it all out of your system as soon as things come up is better than keeping everything bottled up, never talking about it. That's also why I never spare their feelings when I talk to them. If I want to laugh, I'll laugh. If I'm angry, then I'll unload on them. It's hard to stop once you get used to it. Though, I can never do that when I'm with the Homayanis. Hey, knuckleheads! Can you at least tell me the rest of the intel before you go back to your bickering?
Yeah, you hear her, Holloff? Told you we gotta focus on the investigation first. I drew up a map. Right here's the spot. There you'll find the merchant caravan responsible for getting rid of Dakan al-Akmar's looted goods. All you gotta do is wait and ambush them in the evening. They'll have no idea what hit them.
Perfect. Thanks for that. Be sure to pass my regards to everyone else in the brigade as well.
Will do. You stay safe, Dia.
Non sono cattivi, dai. Sorveglia la strada commercio. Mi triggerà un po' il fatto che non posso vedere la roba dal computer. Sì. Boh, vabbè. Tanto non penso che scoppia in aria. Se salta in aria...
This should be the place. Let's find a spot to hide and bide our time.
Cosa assurda è che il gioco è cambiato da così a così. Cioè, è una cosa assurda. Adesso si vede bene, tiene gli FPS fissi.
No need to worry. He knows his way around a fight.
È fantastico.
I'm not worried about that. What I meant is that we probably shouldn't go too hard on the enemy. After all, we still need to get information out of him.
Cielo è stranissimo. I guess.
Ah, here they come. You ready?
Ready?
Let's not give them a chance to react and end this quickly.
Quick! Ci abbiamo un'idea, giusto anche. Mi piacerebbe... Oh! Possiamo provare Day ancora prima di farla. Bella. Vediamo se riesco a farla funzionare. Purtroppo c'ho un po' comodo. Non è male. Avete visto? Pensavo peggio. Fa schifo.
You're the Flame Main.
Good. That saves me an introduction. All right, time for a little talk. Are you buddies with Dakana Lakmar now? Tell me, what are they after?
You know the code of being a mercenary just like everyone else. The first rule is to never divulge key information about our employer.
O come non ci sarà lei, ma non sembra male come.
That might have worked on an amateur, but I know you're just looking to protect your reputation. Think about it, though. What's your reputation worth if you won't have the other tools you need to succeed in this line of work? Tools like, I don't know, your limbs or eyes? You've got 5 seconds. You might want to think twice about how much your employer's information is worth to you.
Whoa!
I'm not joking around. We can do this the easy way or the painful way. 2 seconds!
I'll save you the trouble.
What?
Huh? Are you crazy? He tried to bite off his own tongue. Quick, search the area for any first aid supplies.
I'm out. Grazie che cura l'idea, ma...
I definitely didn't expect him to go that far. Thankfully, the wound wasn't too deep, and he just passed out from the pain.
But why would he be so extreme?
I just wanted to test his mettle. You can get a lot of mercenaries to talk just by threatening them. I didn't expect him to be willing to go through so much pain just to deny us some intel.
Well, he's out cold for now. We could wait for him to wake up, but maybe it's not a good idea to interrogate him any further. What should we do?
Yeah, don't worry about it. It'll be a waste of time to interrogate him again after that. He might just hurt himself again if we start asking. There are lots of goods around here. Let's search the area. Maybe we'll be able to find something.
Ah, ok.
I'm really sorry.
Mi dispiace tanto che ha detto. Ok. Non sembra male Deia, cioè nel senso... non ho neanche usato io mia. Quindi... cioè nel senso loro erano magari anche di basso livello.
We found a piece of paper with a bunch of names on it. Maybe it's a record of something.
Let me take a look. If this really is a merchant caravan, they should have a record of their transactions. Yep. I see an entry for Dakana Lakmar right here. Kusela, Idrisi, Bashar, and Takriti. All familiar names. Dakan al-Akmar has been trading for a hefty supply of food,
Non so
weapons,
perché
and
penso
medicine.
che ho già
It
sentito sti
seems that
nomi.
in the past, they used to receive some canned knowledge as well. This caravan is just one link in their logistics chain. Once in the rainforest, the caravan will exchange the looted goods for Mora, and the funds will then be passed to a specific person. That person will then pack the caravan full of necessary goods, which will then be brought right back to Dakan al-Akmar.
Ok, quindi fanno un giro della miseria praticamente, per non farsi scoprire.
Wait, why is there no Mora value recorded for the final transaction?
No value?
Yeah, every transaction before the last one was marked with an exact amount of Mora, but the final one, where they paid for everything to be brought back to the desert, was simply marked as delivered.
Sono pareggiati.
Perhaps. But they couldn't have known how much they would make off selling the loot. Do they not care about profit margins at all? Anyway, the next part's the records of the goods themselves. There are a lot of entries. Everything was probably sourced from the rainforest. Huh?
What's wrong?
Shazamon Homayani?
Homayani? You mean Dunyarzad's family?
In effetti è quello che pensavo anch'io. Aspetta.
Could it just be another family with the same last name?
In effetti.
I'd be surprised to find someone with the exact same first and last name. Shazamon Homayani is Dunyarzad's father, and the head of the Homayani family.
Quindi?
Just what the heck is going on here?
Vediamo la situazione.
I'm sorry, you're right. I'll consider what we found and not jump to conclusions just yet. But what this piece of paper confirms is that the Homayani family has been providing goods to Dakan al-Akmar.
What if the Homayanis have been kept in the dark and don't know they've been trading with Dakan al-Akmar?
Who are you anyway? È comparso un
That's a
tizio.
possibility, but if that was the case, why is this caravan specifically named Shazamon as their person of contact?
Boh.
They could have just as easily bought goods such as food and medicine directly from Caravan Rebot or Port Ormos.
Forse ha sostenuto le operazioni della brigata per tutto il tempo. Ma al corrente di tutto.
Yeah, funding violence and looting. The brigade gets the goods, and he is paid the proceeds from the sale of the loot.
E lui riceve i provenienti dalla
But why would he do something like this? It's not like the Homayanis are in need of money.
E poi l'abbiamo curata la ragazza, quindi non sembra più.
I honestly have no idea.
Cioè, tipo con lei, per esempio, c'era bisogno di tanti soldi per curarla per la malattia. Per l'amica di Deia era la stessa cosa, credo, ma adesso è curata.
I've been to their estate many times, and I've never noticed anything suspicious. The only potentially large expenditure I could think of would be the treatment costs for Dunyarzad's Elazar. Maybe they borrowed a lot of Mora in the past,
Boh.
but that's still just a speculation. I don't think the master would stoop so low to make Mora.
In effetti cosa gli serve? Forse sta facendo una ricerca anche lui all'Accademia a caso. Cioè, nel senso non fanno parte dell'Accademia loro, però è com'è. Non penso che Daniel sappia nulla.
You're probably right.
E lo
I
penso
know my
anche...
lady's personality, and she wouldn't deliberately keep something like this from us.
Lo penso anche...
What should we do now? All we found is just another mystery.
Scooby, dobbiamo vederci che erano, possiamo tirarci.
If you ask me, we already have no choice but to confront her about this. I'm not worried. It's too early to make a verdict yet. I still have faith in the Homayanis. Let's go find my lady again. We'll tell her everything and see if she's willing to lend us her support. If we're lucky, we can not only figure out the mystery of this paper, but also follow the trail of breadcrumbs to the people responsible at Dakan al-Akmar.
Dia, are you sure this is the best decision? What if instead of getting the help we need, we just end up revealing everything we've discovered to the enemy?
Ma non penso.
I've considered that possibility. But even still, I want to tell her what we found. I think I owe her that much. True friendship is built on trust. She showed genuine concern for me when we first brought up the topic. I can't repay her kindness with doubt and suspicion. That's not how I deal with people.
You're right. Paimon wants to trust Dunyarzad too.
Preferisce essere d'aiuto.
Yeah. Let's pay another visit to Sumeru City.
Va bene, adesso è interessante. Visti ottenuti dalla Kerve. Mi piace che queste missioni qua sono molteplicipate, quindi ti danno qualcosa ogni tanto, tipo quei 4 cose, i 4 materiali per salire di livello. Oggi sono tornato a casa abbastanza presto e da una parte ci sta. Comunque andiamo a sentire cosa dici. Poi prima di andare a mangiare o quando mi chiamano a mangiare mi metto di nuovo lì a installare i driver e ad installarmi di nuovo.
Oh, you're back a lot sooner than I expected. You mustn't have run into any trouble then.
Non è possibile.
How did it go?
È un
What did you come
incubo.
up with?
Però presumo che dovevo fare così adesso, perché adesso il gioco tira, è bellissimo e penso che... Cioè, nel senso che adesso voglio semplicemente guardare la temperatura eccetera del computer, quindi nel senso che... Purtroppo con l'Xbox Game Bar non te lo dice. Quindi... Sarebbe bello, senza che installare tutto. Ma sono obbligato.
Actually, we're still investigating. It's just that we've discovered something strange.
I see. The clues you found have led you back here, in the city?
Something like that. Yeah.
You all look a little dispirited. Whatever you found must not have been very encouraging after all. Why don't you discuss it with me? Maybe I'll be able to say something to cheer you up?
It's okay, my lady. It's not so much about me being upset with my father or anything like that. How should I put this?
So something is wrong. Even the Traveler and Paimon have been uncharacteristically quiet. On any other day, Paimon would have already waved to me with a smile and shouted, "Dunyarzad, we're back!" So tell me, what happened?
What happened?
Well?
My lady, please prepare yourself for what we're going to tell you next. It concerns the Master.
The Master? You mean my father? Okay, I understand. Don't worry about me. I'll listen as attentively as I can.
Dai, illustrare i risultati dell'indagine.
My father has been supplying goods to Dakan al-Akmar?
Yeah, it makes as little sense to us as it does to you. I've never doubted the Master's integrity, so I'm having a real hard time rationalizing how he could ever support an infamous brigade like them. Maybe he's not actually aware of the full story and just stumbled into the deal by accident.
Non è molto probabile.
I can't help but agree with the Traveler.
Huh? You mean you feel the same way, Dunyarzad?
Thank you for sharing all this information with me. Since you've told me everything you know, I should also tell you about some doubts that I've been harboring for quite a while. In the past, I thought that my father hired a bodyguard for me so that I wouldn't run away and get lost. However, there are plenty of capable mercenaries in the Corps of 30. Why did my father go out of his way to hire Dia?
About that. Well, the Homayanis really needed bodyguards, so they reached out to the Blazing Beasts. Later, the Master told me that I was one of the best mercenaries he'd ever seen, and that I should stick around to become one of his bodyguards. He offered me a pile of mora, so I just signed on.
Well, but that didn't really answer my question. Just think about it. Why did my father specifically reach out to the Blazing Beasts?
Maybe the Corps of 30 just didn't have anyone available, or maybe someone recommended us. I've never given it too much thought. I think I get what you're saying. You'd think none of this was a coincidence.
Precisely. At first glance, nothing seems strange or out of place. But there are many parts of the story that don't actually make any sense. If my father had always been in contact with Khan al-Akmar, then it would make sense for him to bring Dia into our house.
In effetti.
You mean the goal all along was to get Dia to be your bodyguard?
No, that's too much of a stretch. I cut all ties with my father a long time ago. He has no control over my life anymore.
But that still doesn't rule out the possibility that your father has still been trying to influence your life without you knowing.
So, the Master was not likely an innocent victim in all of this?
Per le circostanze è la cosa più plausibile.
Sorry we put all of this on you so suddenly, Dunyarzad.
It's okay, Paimon. I should actually be thanking you. Regardless of his reasons, if my father has truly been funding a violent group of mercenaries, then it's my duty to bring him back to reason.
Mitzi.
But is that really the right thing to do?
Boh.
My father has committed many atrocities and deserves all the punishment that he has coming to him. I have zero sympathy for him. You may call me an ungrateful child, but my feelings will remain the same. However, the Homayani family has treated me with nothing but generosity and kindness.
Chissà, cioè nel senso io non saprei cosa fare, nel senso che io lo direi in faccia, sicuramente, però cioè, più di così non saprei, cioè nel senso aspetto una spiegazione sua e dico vabbè.
If we decide to investigate this further, we could end up implicating the entire Homayani family. I would be biting the hand that's fed me over all these years.
Vabbè, in effetti. Scusate se parlo poco, ma non voglio è interessante questa missione, non voglio chiacchierarci sopra, tutto qua. Io.
It's alright, Dia. If anyone were to ask, you could always just say that I'm the one who instructed you to get to the bottom of this.
You don't have to do that, my lady. I'm not conflicted because I'm afraid of taking responsibility.
Mi piace che la
Besides,
chiama mia
you're the one
signora
we should all
ancora.
be worried about right now.
Cioè lei ha detto non chiamarmi mia signora, lei continua a chiamare.
Hey, it's still too early to give up hope. What was the thing about friendship again?
L'amicizia si basa sulla fiducia.
Right, yeah, trust. You said that yourself, Dia.
Boh.
Besides, there's no point on getting all riled up before we've confirmed all the facts.
E poi perdere la calma prima di conoscere. Infatti non è serve niente. Se la tua fiducia non è mai risposta, forse anche lui nutre sentimenti con te.
Thank you, everyone. That makes a lot of sense. I guess I should always remember the trust that I've placed in people. In which case, my lady, could you ask the Master to come out and have a chat with us?
Sure thing. I also
Cool.
hope he'll be able to give us a logical explanation. Let's meet at the usual place then.
Usual place? Ah, right.
Dove ci sono i 30, giusto? Aspetta, solito.
Take it easy.
Sì. Rifacciamo le missioni, tanto quello che devo fare dopo devo aspettare tipo 45 minuti, allora mi metto lì a fare i boss, un boss. Quindi ci sta. Allora, la panchina. Pensavo dove c'era.
Thank you for coming.
Se pensavo da Lightham.
Please allow me to introduce these two. This is the Traveler, and next to him is his travel companion, Paimon.
Ah, Yes, my daughter has mentioned them from time to time. It's a privilege to finally meet them in
Ci
person.
assomiglia.
But we may skip all the pleasantries for now. What is the important matter you wish to discuss with me today?
Attenzione.
Well, we wanted to bring this transaction record to your attention. There's something on this record that we're all pretty curious about.
Devi spiegare la situazione mettendo su.
So, that's what you found. Huh. Seems like I can't keep everything from you much longer.
Aiuto.
If you wouldn't mind, we'd like an explanation.
Anch'io sarei curioso di sentire cosa
Well,
dici.
it's a long and difficult story. And to be perfectly honest, I'm not sure if I'm doing the right thing. What I do know, though, dear, is that the truth will bring you no solace. If anything, it will likely cause you a great amount of anguish.
Wait, me?
Yes, I understand perfectly why you came to see me. And I am touched by your collective commitment to do the right thing. But knowledge always comes at a price. And sometimes, as they say, ignorance is bliss. Your father, Kusela, and I both believed that. Of course, you have the right to seek and learn the truth, but I must warn you. The facts of this matter may reduce everything you've built for yourself into sand, blowing in the wind. If you must proceed, then Kusela's heartfelt efforts will also fade into the wind like a fleeting mirage.
His heartfelt efforts? I'm sorry, sir, but I'm not sure I follow.
Attenzione.
I've made it this far in life without a single drop of my father's support. I have my own ideals and ways of looking at the world, as well as people and causes that I've chosen to cherish and fight for. None of these things have anything to do with him.
Non ho mai sentito dei mercenari bravi, mai bravo.
I came here today to support you as the head of the Homayani family. No warning will change my stance on that.
Di cosa cavolo sai?
I understand. Then let me tell you a little story. Our family once needed to take a trip to the desert when Dunyarzad was just a baby. Along the way, we were attacked by bandits. They had superior numbers and quickly overpowered our bodyguards. When all seemed lost, a group of passerby Eremites lent us their support. Those Eremites were Kusela's brigade, Dekan al-Ahmar. Kusela's men told me that the attackers were Eremite mercenaries, just like themselves. I was shocked. Why would Dekan al-Ahmar go so far to save us and not spare the fellow Eremites? Kusela was grinning and walked over to play with baby Dunyarzad. She was startled by his unfamiliar face and nearly started crying.
Really? I never knew.
He said that he had no particular reason to help us. He just took pity on us because he had a daughter about the same age. We started talking about our children, and I sensed that he was a devoted father. To repay his kindness, I hired his brigade to help out at our estate for a time and offered everyone generous remuneration.
So, that's what happened.
It was many years before I saw him again. I almost didn't recognize him the next time he came knocking on my door. The man I knew to be strong and healthy had been reduced to a shell of himself. He couldn't even walk anymore without his cane.
Era diventato vecchio.
So, what happened to him? He was perfectly fine when I left the brigade.
I'm not too sure myself. The only thing that didn't change was his cheery disposition. He said there was absolutely nothing to worry about and that he had gotten into a fight. That was all.
E metà con doble e metà tenore. No, la passano giù voi.
He then suddenly asked me if Dunyarzad, now that she had grown, would need a bodyguard of her own.
Ah.
At the time, Dunyarzad was going through a particularly severe bout of her Elazar. There was no need for her to have a bodyguard when she could barely leave the house.
Ho capito, nel senso che è ancora, cioè pensavo che era recente questa cosa io. Ok, capito.
But he kept coming back to the topic. Come on, it never hurts to be safe. How do you know a bodyguard won't come in handy one day? I was completely lost at first, until he recommended the Blazing Beasts, and in particular, a mercenary named Dia.
So he was the one who recommended Dia to you.
Indeed. He didn't say it out loud, but it was clear that he saw Deshret's relics as an evil group who would eventually corrupt every member in their ranks. He was already beyond redemption, but he hoped that he would be able to detach his daughter from the vicious world of mercenary life.
Ah, ecco.
If Dia could stay in my house and keep working as a bodyguard, then gradually her affinity for the desert would decrease, and she'd be able to leave her previous life behind.
Il problema è che è ossessionante lei, quindi...
And that's why you offered her such generous compensation?
Yes, but not just because of that. From the moment that he asked me for that favor, I also began to see Dia as my own daughter. And that's also why I tried to persuade you to stay when you asked for permission to leave. I was willing to spend however much it took. Kusela saved my daughter and me all those years ago in the desert. I could never refuse him entrusting his daughter to me.
He was always like that, acting like he's oh so smart and self-righteous.
Kusela said that he'd reimburse me for a portion of Dia's fees. I refused to take any mora from him, but he'd always sent me funds anyway.
Davvero?
Eventually, I just accepted them as a token of his gratitude. And that went on for a while until I received another letter from him a few years ago.
Ok, cos'è
The
successo?
letter contained a request to help him buy food, weapons, medicine, and even explosive materials.
Mizzica.
Wait! Isn't that around the time that Decano Akhmar started becoming more aggressive?
That's right. When I started to hear some nasty rumors, I became wary. I wanted to meet him face to face to discuss things. But by then, he was no longer receptive to my requests to talk. If I had to guess, it's probably because he doesn't want to put Dia at risk.
Ma se così fosse avrebbero anche dovuto smettere di chiedere materia.
That thought occurred to me as well. I figured that he probably came to me for help because he had nobody else to turn to. After some deliberation, I decided to send him some food and medicine. I turned down all his requests for explosives and weaponry. I am aware that even such a reduced gesture of support could lead to others coming to harm, but I could not simply reject his plea for help.
Beh, mi sembra quasi giusto, però strano.
In the end, it probably was the wrong decision. I plugged my ears to the rumors and just chose a solution that made me feel least guilty
E perché
about myself.
si fidava di lui, però chissà, magari non è neanche colpa del padre, qualcuno tipo il vice capo.
If you can, please tell me where he is now. None of the things he's doing right now make any sense if he's just trying to keep me from getting tangled up in his world. If all he wants to do is steer clear of me, then maybe he shouldn't have brought me into this world in the first place.
Oh no. Dia, please don't feel that way.
Mizzica.
I'm just angry because I can't wrap my head around any of his actions.
Non puoi provare a credere in lui? Forse dobbiamo guardare davanti alla prospettiva.
Another way? I don't know. I knew him, and he was nothing more than a childish brute. I can't understand what's going through his head. But I guess you do have a point. We haven't uncovered the whole truth yet. We still need to figure out his exact actions and reasoning for these last few years.
I'll do my best to help. Of course, anything between the two of you would need to be resolved between you and him alone.
Beh, certo.
I don't know Kusela's exact whereabouts. Outside of supplying his brigade with some goods, I tried my best to avoid getting involved any further with him. However, there's a man on the list named Jawed. He used to be a mercenary in the desert and is now a member of the Corps of 30. He's responsible for supplying weapons and liaising with the Dakan al-Akhmar's merchant caravan. I think he should know Kusela's whereabouts.
Andiamo a
I've
trovarlo.
heard that he likes to have a few drinks alone and enjoy the cool wind at night outside the tavern. Maybe you'll be able to find him there.
Quindi dobbiamo aspettare sera.
Thank you, sir. Then I guess this is bye for now, unless...
I'll stay and be with my father here. To be honest, I'm still a little dazed and haven't finished processing everything quite yet. My father has indeed done something wrong, but if I think about it, I'm also not sure if there was a right way to handle this problem. I feel like our only course of action is to turn everything we know over to the Corps of 30 and let them render judgment.
Yes. I am prepared to accept whatever verdict they choose. It's time to face my mistakes.
Così a caso fai una chiacchierata. Vabbè. Cerca Jawad nella taverna di sé. Vi dispiacerebbe se facciamo una di queste missioni, così me le tolgo dalle scatole e poi spengo? Io solo togliermi quelle lì, tipo sconfiggere. Monoliti rimanti, facciamo questo sul telefono, un po' una rottura di scatole, lo facciamo così ne ho uno in meno da fare. Magari me ne faccio anche due mentre sono lì. Poi adesso penso che oggi non ci vediamo, nel senso che voglio reinstallarmi sto cacchio di AMD stupido, mamma mia, lo odio. Capisco perché fa così. Però appunto se lo cioè se ti disattivi i driver, poco si vede che... E quello proprio non riesco a capire. Nel senso che mi sono aggiornato. Cioè ho anche pensato, scusi così grafici eccetera. Era sicuramente opzione, ma e se la disattivo lag di nuovo? A base di... Non so, non ho la minima idea cosa fare in questa situazione. È un po' strano. Aspetta. Nel senso che adesso sono contento che il computer si vede, ma... Io ho sempre paura di fondere questo computer, nel senso che... La base è che... mi metto sempre... mi piace giocare con le impostazioni del computer. E... qualcosa lo tiro molto, qualcosa lo abbasso. E cose che non mi servono, che credo che non mi servono lo abbasso. Quindi niente, nel senso che è così. Vabbè, sono contento comunque di aver provato. Io presumo che la però era potenziata al massimo. Poi voglio fare un po' al contrario, nel senso che quando cioè, come si dice, i talenti li faccio dopo. Lo faccio dopo. Cioè, di solito i talenti li faccio prima, ma adesso li faccio dopo. Beh, lo stesso. È meglio. Forse è anche per quello che non riuscivo a fare bene le boss fight. Della raid, perché non ho disattivato i cosi, i driver e rompeva le scatole. Oggi penso che mi faccio il boss. Spero che non sia difficile, perché ho passato la mia intera vita con un controller, adesso col mouse e tastiera. Credo. Sono diventato bravo, poi insomma. Ognuno la pensa come vuole, io credo che sono bravo personalmente. Poi qualcuno può venire nella chat e dirmi no, fai schifo. E io sono tipo per i tuoi standard, magari per i miei no. Però comunque, a parte quello, devo sempre dire in questi casi, personalmente, perché poi la gente si trigger. No, ma a parte quello... Un attimo.
Midnight Phantasmagoria.
Boss! A parte quello, non mi sento ancora molto bravo col telefono a giocare. Ma boh, non so, è che non ho quasi mai giocato col telefono. Quando ero un po' più giovane sì, ma non giocavo a sti giochi qua sul telefono, giocavo a soliti giochini che base che... e quindi non sono tanto abituato. Cioè, se avessi un controller, sì, assolutamente. Però essendo che Genshin non supporta ufficialmente controller e non voglio essere bannato, non, cioè ogni tanto noto e vedo che sono molto più bravo a usare controller e tastiera, quindi boh. La base comunque del discorso è che proverò a fare boss sul telefono, speriamo che va bene. No, non voglio andare in Zoom. Adesso mi metto lì e mi installo di un'applicazione di AMD. Beh, a parte comunque quello, provo. Se non riesco, vediamo quando torno. Oppure, non so, vedrò come fare. Perché, appunto, mi sento quasi dire che mi sto sminuendo da solo perché non sono poi così malvagio con i controlli del telefono, non sono così... Cioè ci so anche fare, però mi viene sempre in mente l'idea che ho molti miei amici che non hanno neanche una console, giocano sul telefono. Magari giocano a Star Rail, magari giocano a Genshin Impact solo sul telefono. Quindi quello che voglio dire è che magari rispetto a loro hanno una marcia in più. Io, essendo che ci gioco ogni tanto sul telefono, magari quando faccio una boss fight magari un personaggio muore e magari invece quando gioco sul computer non muore nessuno. E così. Vabbè, adesso vi lascio e penso che non ci vediamo. Ciao. Ovviamente.